I'm going to drive myself again. They wouldn't let him leave Cola Clinic. The doctor came in and said he needed to go to the hospital. He's like, agreed. He's like, I'll head down there right now. He's like, I will call an ambulance for you. He's like, you're not driving down there. He's like, oh,
welcome everybody. This is the Hannah City Village Council meeting, October 1st, 2024. Everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. I'm expecting Ryan. There he is online, so we can vote to have him eligible to vote. No public input this evening. Good evening, Mr. Pearson. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay. Ryan is on his way back from Chicago working, so he's not able to be here this evening, but he is available, of course, online. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to allow Ryan to go ahead and vote also in the meeting.
Second.
Motion by Caleb Johnson, second by Sidak. Any further discussion? Although, roll call. So, my brain is just fried tonight. Weaver.
Yes.
Miller.
Yeah.
Sidak.
Yes.
Johnson.
yes.
Purcell, yes. Motion carried. So everybody should have a copy of our previous meeting minutes from September 17th. Hard to believe that it's October already. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes as written.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Caleb Johnson, second by Sidak. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Treasurer's report.
Cassandra is in Las Vegas, so I'm doing her duty tonight. Illinois funds, because it's just today's the first end of the month report wasn't posted yet, but I was able to pull the information off. So in Illinois funds, we have $1,923,964, and for the month of September, we did $82,1946. So $8,200, a little better than $8,200 in income from the money that we had in Illinois funds. As far as the Treasurer's report, just a couple of things on the invoices. AB Hunter Sewer Service, that was for a blockage that we had out on Murphy Road that we had them had to have them come in and help us fix. The Foremost Industrial Technologies, that was the lagoon blower problem that we continued to work on. That's what that expense is for. The attorney bill was $4,700, but I'd make note that $3,800 of that was for working on the code book. So we only had an addition of $928 in legal expenses outside of the work that we're doing on the code book. So that's everything on that I've got.
Yeah. I don't know if people have noticed that GFL will no longer, they're only sending the automated truck around, so if you have boxes or anything else.
Don't fool them. Couldn't tell by the 40 complaints on file.
Yeah. Well, I'm one of them, because I always have a cardboard box, seems like. And normally most time my recycling's full, so.
And we did post something
Well,
a few
they
weeks
sent
back.
a postcard out too.
Yeah,
I got
we
a
did.
postcard.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I
We
got
actually had a
something.
postcard sent out too.
So,
We need to.
so if I'll entertain a motion to approve the treasury report and pay all outstanding bills.
So
Second.
Motion by Caleb Johnson. Second. Any further discussion, comments? We'll call it. Miller?
Yeah.
Sidak?
Yes.
Caleb Johnson?
just
So yes. Weaver?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Don't forget Pearson.
Oh,
every single time.
yeah. Pearson?
Yeah.
Sorry, sir.
Nothing new on engineering.
Okay. Shauna, you're up, ma'am.
Hi, we're still working on the code book. I think Title III is pretty much finished. We had a few changes we want to do on Title IV, and then we will move on.
Okay. So administrative report, Mr. Baylor.
Okay, so the next three things in your packet are all kind of financial analysis documents. Caleb had asked for us to revisit the sidewalk discussion again tonight. So if you go to the one that says Village of Hannah City Financial Analysis, September 2024, I shared this a couple of meetings back. Basically what I did is I went through and looked at kind of everything. What is our current annual estimated income expenses? How much are we putting in capital? And then I looked at, what do we think are some potential income increases over the next few years, potential cost increases or changes over the next few years. What do we currently have in debt commitments? Then what's our cash on hand? And then I did a current status of each area. So I did streets. How much cash do we have on hand? What do we spend annually? What major projects do we have coming up? Did the same for water, did the same for sewer, just to kind of give everybody some context to show that right now we've got a lot of things coming that cost a good bit of money. And I just wanted people to have that context as we began looking at what projects we do or don't want to do. And then at the very end of that deck, I did a summary of capital projects. So sewer lining we need to do through 2027, and that's done. And that $50,000 or $60,000 a year is available to us. The lagoon solar, we get that done, and that'll be paid off in 2027.
We have a loan for that.
Yeah, it'll be a $545,000, something like that. But we get a bunch of it back right away, so it'll be like almost half that, and then it pays off in 10 quarters. So if we get it done by the end of the year in 2027, it'll be
Is the lining paid for out of our capital savings?
The lining is, basically, it's not exact. We put roughly 50 grand, 60 grand a year away for the lining. And we're spending somewhere between 50 and 70 a year to do the lining. So I just wanted to give that to everybody for context. And a reminder, we've talked about the fact that Jim's truck, we're starting to put a bunch of money into that. So we talked about using some of the buildings and grounds capital for that towards the end of the year, assuming we still want to do that. Again, you guys ultimately have to vote on all that stuff. But that was the context that we put together. Then what I did is, and I've got a disclaimer on this. This is the Pleasant Valley water analysis. You see in the red there, it's disclaimer, numbers are subject to change. I wouldn't have brought it forward until it was more fully baked, but I wanted to have it here for the context of the discussion of the sidewalk. So I'm bringing it forward before we know all of the real data. Materials, I'm estimating $500,000. This core main list you see right here, this is the list they put together for the materials that they thought would be required to put it in. Jim and the folks from Pleasant Valley kind of mapped out the whole thing and decided where everything was going to go, and it's an 8-inch pipe. So they estimated $405,000. I just bumped it up to $500,000 because who knows. Labor, it's pretty much our guys, and Pleasant Valley's going to help us, but they're only going to charge us half of what their guys would actually cost to do it. And I think that came out to like 20 grand or 25 grand. Again, I estimated high and threw $100,000 in there. Engineering, I got a quote from Austin Engineering via Pleasant Valley, because they're the ones that have done the work for them in the past on these types of projects. That came in at about $150,000, all elements of that. I can show you the breakdown of that, Caleb, if you want to see it. I made an estimate on easements. They gave me some ballparks to use. I don't know that we'd have to spend that much, but I put 100 grand in for that. I put in $50,000 for the boring. I got the actual quote today, and that's way off. It was $136,000 for the boring. So I had a total of $900,000, and if you put the boring in, it'd be closer to $1 million, a little bit over. So we're looking at somewhere between $1 million and 1.5 probably to do it. So then if you look at the return on the project, 2024-25 projections for Illinois American Water purchases, I'm thinking we're going to spend around $288,000. We're spending about $7 per 1,000 gallons. And so we're using around 38 million gallons a year. So that's how I got to the 288. Pleasant Valley purchases. So what they did is they gave me their retail document that said that what they charge for the people who buy water directly from them. So anybody that was over 10,000 gallons was $5 per 1,000. So I put together a chart that said, okay, if that's what you're telling me I'm going to use, because we're obviously going to be purchasing way more than 10,000 gallons a month, I'm going to use the 5. So I sent them a note back and saying, that comes out about $190,000 a year that we'd be paying you for the water. Is that the right number? And then I got a note back saying, well, we need to know how many active meters you got. And I was like, why, why would you need to know that? And so I think there's some confusion on their end as to retail and wholesale, I guess the best way to put it.
Yeah, we're just a bulk customer. You're not selling to individual customers.
So once I explained that to them, they said, yeah, that's probably right. And so then they said, well, we need to get the whole board to talk about that. Their meeting is on October 8th, their next board meeting, so we won't know for sure.
Do they have any bulk customers?
I don't know. I would assume Limestone Walters is, because that's one of the projects they've done.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Maybe Walters just has their own stuff, and then Pleasant Valley bills the customers direct. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know that $5 is going to be the right number. They may come back, and that number might be higher.
Are we on the hook we're on the hook to build it, right? All the expenses, design, and all that stuff.
Yeah, they're providing labor and equipment for half the cost, 50% of what they would normally charge for the labor. But
I think we'd have to put out an RFQ. I don't think we could just hire Austin. I mean, Austin is their engineer, and nothing against Austin, but Austin's their engineer.
I understand.
And they may have an agreement, like a resolution that they use, that kind of like we have with Farnsworth, but since they're not ours, I think we'd have to put out an RFQ for it. And
I'm okay with all of that.
So.
All I was trying to do is get us a number to say, is this even worth looking at? So at this, the projected savings would be $98,000 a year at current prices, where we currently are. So that's on a cash basis, if we paid cash for it, which we wouldn't, but that's an 11-year payback, which I think is worthwhile. And then if you took out a loan at 6%, I think the savings at $98,000 should come pretty close to covering 20 years of 6% if you borrowed the money to do it.
What is the?
But the two things that I'm worried about is, one, I don't know that the 1 million or 1.1 million is a fair number. We might want to use 1.5 just to be safe. And then the flip side, if they come back and say, no, 5 is not the right number, it's actually 6 or 6.5 or whatever per 1,000, the savings just got a whole lot.
What's the additional operating cost too? Annual operating cost, because we're going to have a pump station that's ours at Taylor Road, and probably have an additional pump here to get it into the tower. That are going to be running constantly. I don't even know what the power consumption of those are, like what it would cost, but
We'll have to have a generator on it too.
Yeah, they'll both have to have backup generators. both can. I don't know if there's natural gas on Taylor Road or not. Obviously, this
Yeah,
one
there's
would be-
I
natural
think
gas.
there'd have to be a pump on Taylor.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
to
you
get
get
it across to here, I think they're talking a pump station there, and then one to get it to fill the tower because you won't have enough head to get it into the tower once the time it gets here. Which we don't have to have here because our source is so stinking close. Pressure from the main can fill the tower. So I don't know about the new tower though. I think the new tower design might have a booster pump to fill it because it's so
I don't know.
it's bigger. I don't know if there's enough pressure to fill the newer size tower. I can't remember that Farnworth plans, but
either.
so the difference may be just the pump at Taylor
And you
Road.
said right now we're paying $7.
Roughly
Roughly.
$7 per 1,000 gallons, and if their price stays, it's
Which is not
$5.
good. You know it's not good.
Again,
Are they like I would say guaranteeing us a price for so many years?
We haven't had those conversations
like
yet.
15 years, we'll guarantee this price.
Because this rate, yeah, it's a good point. Because the rate of return is based on it not changing for 10 or 11 years. So
No,
that
that-
could.
I mean, it's a great question.
Yeah.
I think it's something we can negotiate into it. I don't know. I don't think we're going to get 15 years. We might get 5, or
Yeah, maybe.
But the other thing is too, for this analysis, I'm assuming Illinois American Water is going to go up too, right? So,
You know that's a good.
So that would keep the savings would keep pace with another. Yeah.
right. Yeah. So, in fact, if you look at the next slide, then what I did is the estimated pricing for 25, 26. Well, we've already gotten a document from Illinois American Water saying that they think they're going to go up 24% in January.
Again.
Yeah, so that's a 65%, 64% increase over a 3-year
I
period.
was
of
gonna
time.
say that almost doubled, but okay, 64% over 3
Yeah.
years.
So that takes their purchases from $288 to $330, and from $7 to $868 per 1,000 gallons.
Could you take this to Illinois American Water to checkmate?
I don't think they care.
Right.
I don't know, maybe. I don't know what 30. I guess what if we're using 30, somewhere around 35 to 38 million gallons a year? I don't know what that means to them.
I don't know if it'd be worth because
I mean, it's 300 grand.
when they treat one customer special in this region, they have to go and get their prices approved and get them.
So again, if
I doubt they'd say anything.
now the spread goes from $98,000 to $140,000 a year savings, assuming we can lock in Pleasant Valley.
In the long run, though, I think if it come down to let's make a deal with them, there might be a chance Illinois American Water is just going to be like, whatever.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. At this point, for me, I think we should probably assume 1.5 unless you feel differently in total cost. Let's wait and see after the board meeting if they stick with that $5,
Yeah.
and then we can run the numbers again and look at what we think the savings might be. But for context, in the bigger discussion of all that we've got coming, we've got $545,000 till 2027 in loans for the lagoon, and that's going to pay itself off, and it's going to be a wonderful thing. It's $30 grand a year, but for the next 2.5 years, we're going to have that loan. If the tower comes in, we're going to have anywhere from $900,000 to $1.5 million for the tower, right?
Or
Well,
worst case scenario.
my guess is though, if it's more than 1.5, we won't do it. Maybe you disagree with that. That's fine. So yeah, but
1.5?
yeah,
Our cost.
our part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or 1.75 maybe, the better number. So anyway, $500,000 already. If we did this project, another 1.5. If we did the tower, another 1.5, 1.7. Now we're talking about $3.5–4 million worth of debt versus, and we've got none today. And I'm not saying that's good, bad, right, wrong. We're in a good financial position. We could figure out a way to make it work. I think everybody wants to do all these things. I think it's just a matter of timing. If you project out now to 2027, all of a sudden we're not doing sewer lining anymore, and that's done for the next 30 years. Well, that's 50 or 60 grand a year. And what was the other thing that was? Oh, the lagoon's now paid off, so that $500,000's gone, and that's saving us $30,000 a year.
They
So
just
that's
have to
another
agree to be.
that's another $80,000 to $90,000 a year.
They just have to agree to be whatever 15% less than on American Water's price for the region.
You're saying that's what Pleasant Valley has to agree to? Yeah, that might be a good way to look at
That's
it.
what I mean. Would they say like, yeah, future forecast, we'd sign a 10-year agreement saying we'll stay 20% below them or 15% below them or something. Then you know you got your savings locked in.
Yeah.
It's not the dollar amount, but the savings are locked in. At least you know you're coming out ahead of what you would have had.
That's something that I think that we really got to look.
Of course, then the challenge is, I guess, how do we,
into the future?
how would we know the Illinois American rates?
They have to post them.
I guess so.
Yeah, because they're selling the public bodies out there all over the place.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Just that's going to be something that's going to really benefit in 15, 20 years, I think.
You know,
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not going to be 8, 10 years might not be that big a difference, but I think in the long run.
Well, if you have to, or 20 maybe, if you take out the loan. But with what we've got going with capital, I mean, we could probably pay that loan off faster. I guess it depends. I mean, that's why everything's up in the air. You've got Pleasant Valley Water, you've got the tower. Those are the two biggies.
Well, you just said American Water said they're going up another 24%.
Yeah.
So that's almost 80% they went up in
60.
2 years.
64% from January 2023 to January
Yeah,
2025.
since I've been here.
Yeah.
What are they going to do in the next 10 years?
I don't know.
We draw a line and say it.
So at this point, we should know something that on the meeting on the 15th, I should be able to come back with better understanding of what Pleasant Valley would charge us. And, the goal of this was just to give us kind of order of magnitude of what we're facing. Like I said, if we get the grant, due to Tony's good work, if we get the grant, all we have to do is borrow $900,000 for the tower.
yeah,
And that's huge.
yeah.
Well, and that's just
That's $900,000 at 1%. We'd borrow that and make the payment.
well,
Yeah, no kidding. Make the minimum payment.
and that's just straight. That's not even including forgiveness. Right?
That's true.
Yeah. Oh yeah, if you could get to that and then get that would all hit, like pie in the sky dream, you really, yeah.
Yeah, even if it was $1 million that we got 50% forgiveness on it.
You'd almost have the money saved up for it, and you'd still probably want to take the loan because we can make more money off.
If you're
Off-
getting, even
off of
with
like
rates
funds that they-
changing, I mean,
Yeah.
money markets have gone from a little over 5% to 4.5%. But still, if you're paying 1.8 on the loan,
It's not hard to be 1.8.
so that is kind of the context, I guess, for where we're at financially. These are all good discussions. I mean, it's nice that we're, I guess I think in 5 years, are we at a place where we've got all of the basic infrastructure, pretty well in place. So to have the discussion about the sidewalk, I brought the picture, the drawing again of where it would go. Just in the way of history, we also looked at going behind, but we determined that that wasn't going to save us that much. So that we were going to just stay out on the 116 path, and this is a sidewalk basically from Pekin Lane down to McAllister, so that those folks, people in town, have better access to Dollar General and to Casey's. And then this document I updated from the last time we talked about it, but I just put together some rough numbers to kind of show you. So for streets, we've got almost $480,000. We use some every year to supplement the MFT program. So I think the MFT program usually costs us about 70 or 80 grand, and we usually get 50 of it from MFT program for that year, and then spend another 20-ish
But we're almost done.
from our
So
savings.
cut the streets.
We are. I mean, you're never done, but we're almost through the first 5 years.
Once we get through the first 5 years, we won't need to do it the sixth year. If we
Understand.
do, then we have a huge issue with the the quality of the product.
Understand. I guess the only issue there is I suppose that you could spend MFT on this if you wanted to.
You cannot.
On this program, you couldn't.
On the sidewalk,
Yeah.
you cannot build new sidewalk on IDOT right away with MFT funds.
So there'd be roughly 20 grand.
It's
Then.
one department that's okaying money for another. I can't. There's some conflict of interest in IDOT, but we could not use it to build new sidewalk on IDOT right away. Is what we've been told at work. Because we would do the same thing with Washburn. They said no.
So the point there is there's 480. Let's call it $500,000 that's available, but we've been saving some of that to do a major project. If we have to do a major project, you can spend that $500,000 pretty quick.
I don't know if I'd call that a major project.
Yeah, if you're going to redo Murphy, you're going to spend that. Right?
Oh yeah.
So we got to decide, do we need to continue to save that for streets, or are we just going to be happy doing what we're doing? The TIF money, there's money there, but we're going to give 80% of it back, so that money's not as big as it looks like. And then there's BDD money. We got almost $245,000. We've got another $52,000 of that is allocated for this year's grants that we just haven't paid out yet, and we're getting about $11,000 a month income from that. And then if the estimated cost we got for the sidewalk, the topical survey was 12 grand, the construction documents for IDOT was 28,000. So the engineering, those first two engineering costs was roughly what, 40? Is that 40,000? Yeah. And then the construction would be somewhere to actually build it. They said somewhere between 205 and 225, and then broken that out between engineering and construction. So on the next page, I basically looked at options. One, we can wait until we finalize the water source and the tower plans and do nothing, or we can agree that we want to do steps 1 and 2 now and spend $40,000 of the 2024 BDD funds. I'll have to confirm that we can do that, but I think we can. And get the engineering done and then just build it when we're ready. Or we can figure out a way to, we can pull 100 from streets and 100 from BDD and build $25,000 into next year's budget and move forward and build the sidewalk next year. The last time we talked about this, and Caleb, I know you weren't here, but I think the general consensus was everybody wants to do the sidewalk, but maybe we should hold our breath for a while until we know exactly what's happening with the Pleasant Valley thing. And
yeah, but that's not gonna. I mean, that's gonna be a loan. The water tower's gonna be a loan. It's a totally different conversation of mine. It's not the same money. I mean, if we don't get a loan, we're not doing the water tower. If we don't get a loan, we're not doing the water main. This is more like maintenance and like yearly stuff. Like,
understand
what's the next project we have coming up that we're going to do with the capital money we're saving up? I mean, and the BDD money, none of that's going to affect. Because if the loan didn't come through, those things are, we're not going to do them.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. The only caveat I might give is on the Pleasant Valley water thing. If we're going to borrow the full 1.5, or are we going to use some of our cash to bring that number down and not borrow the full amount?
You're going to take the street money and.
I'm asking the question. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what the right thing to do is or not, because that loan's going to be higher than the money we're making on Illinois funds. It's going to be 6+%.
Yeah, exactly.
So the debate is whether or not we would use any cash for that, bring that number down or not. But as it sits today, if the numbers I've got are right, I think on a 20-year loan at 6%, roughly, the savings may cover it.
Yeah.
Right? So that would mean your point is right. We got the cash available for other things. So anyway,
I just see it was two different. Those are those projects, and this is like maintenance and new construction. Two different things. Like this is something we can do.
I understand. I apologize. I looked at the agenda. I didn't put it on for a vote. But if we decide we want to do something with the sidewalk, I can put it on the next agenda for a vote. So
you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ryan.
So I was just going to say, like, even if we wanted to do the sidewalk now, it's probably not going to get done until next year, right? So
correct.
I would of these. Why don't we get all of them as shovel ready as we can, and then by then we'll know if we're going to get some of these grants or not. If we're not, we can move forward on that based on who we are. Then we know where we're pulling the money from.
Yeah, that was going to be my thought. Is let's get the thing done so we can bid in the spring or over the winter for spring start.
spring's best time to bid.
So spend the 40 grand and get the engineering done.
Yeah, get it shovel ready.
Yeah, because
so that'd be the ideal time to get it bid.
And we never know when there's going to be some type of money pop up, some new grants come up, because that's always kicked us in the past where, like for the water tower, we never had a shovel ready project.
Yeah.
So.
But I'd get this. I'd kick them free to get a topo, get the IDOT doc, because it's going to be, the topo work, the boundary work, all that stuff they'll have done in a couple days. The IDOT stuff is going to take. They're going to have to get everything. So because there's some major changes to the side of the road, that ditch. There's some obstacles still overcome here. They need to get figured out, and it's going to take to bid the opportune time, like Rob was talking about. Will take starting now till then to probably get the thing ready to go.
We can talk about this when we vote on it next time, because I'll talk to the engineers as well. But would you want to pull that 40 grand from the street money? Or if we can pull it from BDD, and I think we can do that, Zach, without hurting next year's grant program, if all we're spending is the 40 grand. And I have to confirm that we can spend that money on BDD.
If we can do BDD money on it, I'd say do BDD money on it. Business development, you have the car wash, the laundromat, Casey's, Dollar General that are all directly benefiting from it. People are getting there if they need to get there, but it sure makes it a lot nicer.
Is that what you were going to say, too?
Yeah.
And I would guess the laundromat will be happy that people have a route to go that doesn't involve just walking across them constantly.
Saturday night, I was there for maybe 40 minutes, and 4 or 5 people walked by on the edge of that road.
Yeah.
Cut down through the car wash.
Well, this is step one. The sidewalk through town gets used a ton. After you get this built, then you start going through getting rid of the crappy sections that are 2 feet wide along the back of curb, that are curbside sidewalk that's 30 inches wide, where mirrors on some of those bigger trucks you almost think are going to clip you from the roadway. You feel like you're ducking semi-mirrors when you're walking on that sidewalk. Eventually you take the 6 or 7, this probably going to be 7 foot, I imagine, 5 foot sidewalk, and it'd probably be 7 foot curbside sidewalk. Eventually you go through town and start, getting rid of those crappy sections and making it bigger until you have that nice thoroughfare all the way through town. And then someday the railroad comes up and sells us the railroad that's in our village limits, then we can just cut across by the church and you put a big loop in. You go down Murphy Road, then you're down Hannah City Glassford Road, then you have a big loop you can go through.
Maybe we change the sidewalk and go in. Like if I was going to walk to your house.
Yeah.
It's up, down, up, down, up, down.
Yeah, it's settled and cruddy in spots. And
well, not that. It's where the driveways are. As it goes down, the sidewalk comes back up.
Yeah.
So
those are the spots that would all get fixed, and the sidewalk has to stay that constant slope. So you'll end up going back and redoing people's driveways 5, 10, 15, 20 feet up for them and redoing them to bleed out that elevation change you put in. Yeah, the sidewalk's got to stay level going across. You can't do this anymore and just tilt as you go across the side of the driveway. So,
Ryan, was that what you were thinking?
Yeah. My thought is, we want to do these projects, so we may as well prepare to do them so we can do them when we actually want to. We're going to spend the money eventually. Let's get ready so that we can spend it when we want.
Yep.
All right.
Vote on the next meeting.
Yep. I'll get back with Farnsworth and get
I was
everything.
going to say, I'd give him a little heads up that it's coming down the pipe.
yeah.
So, that's everything.
Okay. Committee reports, Mr. Pearson.
Much that hasn't really been covered. Missing something, Brian?
I couldn't hear you.
Said, do you have anything?
I don't have anything else other than what we've already discussed.
Okay, then I don't have anything to do.
Planning and zoning, Mr. Johnson.
I have no report as far as I know.
You do not.
Okay. Sanitary sewer.
I got Chris's stuff. So we talked about the Murphy sewer blockage. That was on the treasurer's report. Sewer lining is done. We did find one spot. Jim said that we were getting quite a bit of infiltration into the sewer, and so that's not going to happen anymore. We thought there might be a water leak, but ever since they've lined it, the water didn't surface. So it must have been just something that was infiltrating in the sewer. So he's very happy about that. It's going to positively impact the lift station and the lagoon
And I know he found another sewer line on my road because he came in and poured dye in
Found another what?
sewer line right there in front of my house.
Oh, another lateral that was not
Yeah.
hooked up to.
Nothing.
Oh, really?
My house.
Yeah, so that's the thing is when they're going through it, they're blocking anything that they don't think is going
Yeah, it's like
anywhere.
there's an
getting
old lateral
blocked
that's off that's been capped, and that's undone. Then it's just sucking groundwater like all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. So I think this we've got. Let's see. This is 24. We got 25, 26, and 27. So we got 3 more years of doing that. And then the lagoon, we get. It's partly my fault. We delayed them about a week because I wanted to get with you and make sure we knew exactly where the property line was and where we were going to put the equipment and make sure it was going to interact with any of the stuff that we do down there. We basically decided we're coming 12 feet off the property line into our space. Roger went out and marked it all out with them. And that way we can drive on each side of it. So if we want to drive on the fence side, we can, and if we want to drive on this side, we can have access to everything. It's got, you've seen where we're going to put it. I think we're good. Everything there, Roger and Brad have been removing the trees on the one side to make sure that the sun will be able to get down to it all. There was actually an old metal or old concrete cistern down there that wasn't, I don't know if it's a cistern or whatever, but something there that was not being used anymore, and so they're going to rent a, whatever they call it, jackhammer for the skid steer.
Oh, for the hooks on the auxiliary ports on the Bobcat, and yeah.
They're going to tear that out so that that won't be any problem with that either. So all we're waiting on now is the lead time on the parts that they ordered, and once they get here, they'll start, and hopefully it'll be done by the end of the year in place.
Good. No shocks right now.
Yep, we actually that's this. I leave it on there, but we don't have this one or anything.
Buildings ground, Mr. Weaver.
Nothing to report.
Streets and alleys.
We already had that discussion.
CEDC, Mr. Sidak.
Nothing to report.
Administration, Mr. Miller.
I don't have nothing.
I'll cover that. We did the village hall. We did an upgrade to the firewall that Tony and others suggested that we do. I don't even want to speak on that.
Yeah, Ross Cook was the technician that did it. Came in, just updated the firmware on the Panorama operating system for the firewall to make sure it stays up to date, updated security rules on it and everything, make sure it has the latest and greatest on it. And that's already something, the software is free, it's just a time. We already paid for it when we did our subscription with Palo Alto.
But there was a couple $100.
I think it was an hour.
I remember. There's a small charge. It was below 500.
Just an hour time and material for him to go in there and update it and everything, but
That's done.
that's done.
Then we also got the medical benefit annual renewal. It's in your pack. Basically, the premiums are going from $1972.11 a month to $2,189.80 a month. So that's an increase of $217.69, which is more, but nothing changed on the plans. Everything's exactly the same. But we do need to vote to approve the renewal.
Make a motion, we approve the renewal at the new cost, $21.89.80 a month.
I have a motion by Johnson, second by Sidak. Any further discussion? And we will roll call it. Pearson?
Yes.
Sidak?
Yes.
Caleb Johnson?
Yep.
Weaver?
Yes.
Miller?
Yep.
Motion carried. Peoria County between 923 and 929. 14 incidents.
Is there a way to tell how many of them
1, 2, 3,
we called them?
4, 5, 6, 7. 8 of them were motor vehicle stops.
Well, that means they're listening.
Yeah, evidently.
Usually
There's none of those on there. Very few.
Well, I got a little
direct. North Third Street, Block 4, 1300 Farmington Road. Were a lot of them, 1200 Farmington Road.
So I went through town.
Yeah,
We just had a constructive conversation about
reckless driver.
if we're only getting reactive response,
Yeah.
which we would get anyway because we're in Peoria County,
Who was this with Watkins or?
Mhm.
Okay.
what are we paying for?
Yeah.
If we're not getting proactive, and Eric's the guy that asked the first question, and I think it was a good one, is, are we getting value for the money that we're paying? Are they proactively managing traffic? Are they proactively managing, side-by-sides or other issues? And Chris said he was going to personally look into it, and Roger's told me he's seen a huge increase in the presence. I've noticed it too.
I actually went by the house this morning when the kids were out waiting for the bus. They went down the house and tried to get the seat living and actually made them loop through.
So I think they're listening.
Well, Watkins, when he came and talked to us years ago, when he took, said, we love the Hannah City contract because, like Medina Township, theirs is they pay extra more than we do, but they want like a bicycle cop during the summer through certain neighborhoods. They want, theirs is like Saturday, it's got to be this time to this time. We want 2 extra patrol cars, and they have a dedicated deputy that shows up to every single meeting that's theirs. Where ours is just whatever it is, about $60,000 a month or whatever it is.
So many hours.
So many hours. It's not targeted like that, so they can use it as they please. But we don't specify specific times, so help us out here.
The thing that was bugging me was we had been giving them some areas of emphasis, right?
Yeah.
And asking for hours to be proactively used for those things. And I didn't feel like we were getting traction on that. I do now.
Yeah.
And again, we can still have the debate whether it's worth the $72,000 we're paying a year. Of course, some of it's a moot point because we're in a contract for the next 4 or so. But I think you asked a good question, which is, are we getting value for the additional dollars that we're spending? And we're using the traffic signs as data to say,
That thing's working.
Huh?
That thing works.
It does. It reminds me. I think people don't realize they're coming down.
Coming into town.
When that little red and blue was flashing in the middle, that really gets your attention.
I was watching people. Dollar General the other day, right? It works.
It does. They tap their brakes.
Yeah.
I think most people that speed just don't, just forget. They just don't, just lackadaisical. They see that, it's like, oh, shoot, slow down.
And it hits you before you get to right before.
Oh, it picks you up way back. Yeah, it works you way back.
Because I know it hit me the other day when I was coming. I was probably doing 60 coming in.
Yeah.
I think it's worth it just the
and it hit me, and I was like, "Ooh,
we got you."
Oh yeah, it flashes at me.
Speaking of side-by-sides, their residents stopped before the meeting, talked to us briefly about there's some people in town who want them legalized.
Yeah.
And
I think we said, well, come to the meeting, talk about it. They never show up.
And
when people don't do that, I could care less.
So what I told them, that's why he came, and they're going to be at the next meeting. And so I thought I would give you guys a heads up tonight. I don't know if you want me to put it on for a vote at the next meeting, or do we just want to listen to them?
No, we got to make sure we have the support first.
Yeah.
We're making it.
I don't want to vote on anything the same night, no matter what, anyway.
Yeah. So I told him to get his, information together, get as much support from the community, and let us know how many people are wanting that. And, Ryan, did you have something?
Yeah, what was she wanting to do with side-by-sides?
Same thing we're doing with the golf carts. Make them okay and do the process of
big numbers
certifying
on
them.
that.
Yeah.
So you can know it's not him.
The other thing we got is trick or treat. I know we normally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's October 31st, just like it is every year.
No, I never knew why we did this.
It started way before I got on the board. They've been set trick or treat.
They do it in every town.
We just do it to set the hours, so we'll set.
So what
trick or treating October 3rd. October 31st is when it is.
Well, what's the day
Thursday?
Thursday.
5 to 8. That we usually do.
Yeah, 5 to 8, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Your porch light's on, kids are gonna knock.
Yeah. Sometimes my kids even knocked on some that didn't have their lights on because they got a little carried away.
Like your dad.
Huh?
Like their dad.
What was it? 5 to 8?
5 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Thursday, October 31st.
So what's fun is, as we prepare for these meetings, we break out the master calendar where we put all that stuff, and that's the reason we remembered,
Oh,
because we looked out
yeah.
and saw it on there. Because normally we're scrambling at the end, and people are asking.
Yeah. And then I saw the email reference the UTV, so I did pull up the Illinois state code for it. So it is illegal according to Illinois state code to drive on a roadway such as county highway or anything.
Well, that's one thing I told them when they were here, is you're never going to get 116. So if you run up down 116, that ain't going to fly. And he was like, well, can we do the perpendicular like we do, with the golf carts? And I'm like, yeah, you can ask.
Well, yeah, that's legal. I mean, crossing perpendicular is legal.
Yes.
Anywhere.
But today, side-by-sides or UTVs aren't legal in Penn City. Not anywhere.
Nope. But they're everywhere. Go right past my house.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I
they're
was
all-
By
just
the time
told
I get
that
out there and
those,
say something, they're already gone.
and I was just told that those people come from Farmington.
Some do. I saw some the other day at the school going to sign up for basketball on Sunday, and they were headed down the tracks into this weather.
I
mean, talking to a farmer out there.
And I used to ride it up there at the time to see my grandparents ride up the railroad track.
He mows the railroad out there by his farm because if he doesn't keep the brush out of it to a certain extent, they drive around in his field to get around where it's, too brushy. So.
Well, I guess we should be glad we're getting their business.
Refuel, I see him there all the time.
Yeah.
Sportsman's Club, I see him
Oh,
there.
yeah.
I don't get that.
What?
I would be scared to drive to a bar in a side by side.
Yeah,
Just because it's
you
like-
stick out like a sore thumb.
here.
Exactly.
Not only that,
Especially if you're leaving at midnight or something like that. I'm also drunk.
yeah.
Take your right lawnmower up
And
there.
then if you get hit,
Oh yeah. World's
Well,
over.
that's why they're like,
hey,
we're off the road.
Yeah, and then
we had a mock-up of the hats. But they didn't have blue ones at the time, so we just did gray, so we see what the stitching looked like.
but the only thing it's really hard to see is the date up at the top.
What do you think? You like them?
Do they have any sun hats? I gotta watch my ears.
Me too. I wear floppy hats now.
Whoa.
Ooh,
Well,
look who finally
Magic
did
of
it.
television.
Wow. Teleporting. Well, I hate to do this to you, Ryan.
I know. I got checks to sign, so.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, Sean.
There's anything else?
Sean.
Whatever.
I might have a thing for you, boy.